Well, that's a good basketball team we played, and my hat's off to their coach and their players, and I spent a few years in the Southland, and that's going to be a team that's going to be very very competitive, top to bottom in that league. So he's got them playing really hard, and I thought they played harder than we did tonight, with a little more focus. But found a way. Tonight we didn't shoot the ball very well. Tonight we weren't very sharp. I think one of the challenges that you kind of look at the trap game. I thought we bounced back from the Alabama game, and I think Long Island's better than we allowed them to look. Um, but yeah, tonight was we escaped and did some nice things. Still didn't shoot the ball very well and close to 90, and yet I thought we were just okay. Defensively, some of these smaller teams give us some challenges in guarding the bounce. I thought Mahilo and Z came in and gave us a great lift. Um, Mahilo we went back to some ball screen stuff with them, and we got a couple pops and a couple dunks, and he actually made some great passes that weren't assisted because we didn't make the shots. But I thought we were a little bit tired. I'm tired, but that's the way postseason basketball is, and you play tired, and we've got to continue to grow from that. The thing I'm most disappointed in is scouting report mistakes, and I thought the kid for Kai Dixon for them was outstanding. A kid averaging 7 gets 21, and most of them just because he played really hard. So hats off to them, and now it's on to another one on Friday.
I think Mahalo was the 10th guy to come off the bench, and then you played him a lot. Just where are you at with him, and how is he a part of the rotation, and how do you see that kind of moving forward?
I don't know. If you want to be honest, if you want me to be honest, I mean, we're still working through that. He was the first one off the bench the other night. I think we have depth. I think we have some quality. I thought this was a game that he impacted at a really high level, with his ability to get in the paint. I don't think we got enough stops to truthfully get out and run and let him be at his best. But yeah, I'm still searching, to be very honest with him. Still don't have a very good feel for our rotation yet, what that looks like. We're literally, I don't know, 10, 12 days into this, and with everybody. So um, it's nice to have him because he played good tonight. When Keaton was off a little bit, and Bam, we didn't have to play him as many minutes, but Bam impacted the game at a very high level defensively. So it was nice to have him.
Coach, last year at times it felt like if Ben had a bad shooting night, Ben just kind of had a rough night. Now it seems like he's impacting the game more. I'm wondering how far you've seen him come defensively
Oh
and
my God!
rebounding.
Well, you saw that tonight. I mean, Ben's becoming an elite perimeter defender. I mean, he's a guy that cares. He's a guy that's got length. He's got bounce. He's got great timing. He made a couple of tremendous blocks, on the drive, and he's rebounding it at a really high level. In a night when it wasn't Merck's best night, he was outstanding on that end.
Coach, you talked about the ability to go small when you need to. Is that starting to come to, when you get healthy, is that starting to come to fruition a little bit? You threw out a couple of small lineups.
A lot of it will be based on them, the opponent. Well, I think one of the things we see sometimes in non-conference games is we don't see the size that we see in the Big Ten, or in high major games. And I think as needed, we can go to that. But I also know that we've been, I go back to our Florida scrimmage. I go back to, some of those when teams are really big, it's nice to have that size.
You're still working on your rotation, but with Milo's skill set, what is the process of working someone who's so good with the ball and his hands back into things
Yeah,
naturally?
it's two ends to that as well. I mean, I think he's still, we jumped in zone tonight. I know most of you probably had a heart attack, but it's the communication thing with him is still growing. He was not in zone; he was in man. He went with the cutter, and we're still working through some of those things, and that comes with just practice and timing. He practices a lot with Z. We got to get him with some of the other guys as well in the second unit as we continue to develop that. But yeah, he's got a great skill set offensively. Made some great passes, and his speed gives us where we just blew by people, got downhill.
Because you've had other guards that can operate ball screens pretty well, but what does Malo do differently, or because he seems very comfortable in those actions?
Yeah, he's grown up in him, and he's not maybe quite the playmaker that Kasper's was, and that's an elite level. Obviously, got a first-round pick. Part of that's just size, but his understanding of them is very good. And then he's probably a better finisher than KJ. In terms of at the rim and his pull up, he missed a little floater that he normally makes late, but he's a guy that just has a real knack for it, and then he can make every pass. He sees things that a lot of people don't, and that's the advantage for him, is just his pure understanding of the game.
Some of the hiccups defensively, was it more effort thing or communication or just a combination of
Both, all of it. I mean, we talked about a certain screen that they run and how we were going to handle it, and we were 0 for 3 on it. And handle it. That's just scouting report. Part of it's matchup. It's we've got to get better. We were really flat. They're just their little dribble handoffs to start the game. We worked on them all day yesterday, and we're fine. And as soon as the game started today, we were 3 steps behind. First play of the game. They've got wraparound layups, and just not very good at them. Just flat.
Maybe not the best night to talk about defensive execution, but it seemed like with Z, he was heard, at least tonight, on defense. I mean, and being vocal, when he said tonight that wasn't natural to him before he got here. I was curious how you go about getting that out of somebody when it's not natural and they've played a lot of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's ever played. I don't know. Maybe there's other coaches who do things differently than we do, but you have to talk. It's not a game of mind reading, and you have to communicate. And when you're a guard, you've got to become a great listener, and then you've got to be able to process and adjust, or otherwise you're going to get screened, and that's at every level. And as a guy who's guarding a screener, you have to communicate that. So I don't know how that's worked before, but it's something we demand. We have a saying, quiet teams lose. And you have to communicate. It's one of the things that we've probably said 1 million times already in practice.
Brad, after defensive issues, what kind of ammo does that give you in practice the next
A
couple
lot.
days?
A lot. I mean, we're getting ready to face one of the best teams in the country. Who's going to run great offense. And, they're completely different than this team. But, it's more of the fundamental things. And the one thing I'm not going to stand for is not playing hard enough. And, I was disappointed in Merck today. He played like he practiced yesterday, and which was not very good. And, when he had his 20 and 20 game, he was phenomenal in practice. We couldn't guard him, and he was energetic and can't happen. Can't happen. That's where maturity's got to step in, and he's got to handle that.
Since you brought up zone, what was your process of getting comfortable using that as a curveball? Just it's not something you've done a lot. And what do you like about what it adds to you?
Well, I think especially when we're effective offensively and size is impacting us on that end. Sometimes you play smaller, it's pretty effective. I thought we did some good things, and I think we had 3 or 4 stops in a row, and then they got to hit a 3, but you're going to give something up in that. But the one thing with zone is just recognition of where shooters are, and we got to continue to grow in that area. And to be honest, we haven't spent as much time on it as we have, but it was a good opportunity to use it and see what it looked like.
You mentioned Halo and Z, they work together a lot. Did they just gravitate to each other, or did you see them? Did you put an extra after practice?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it's just in the course of practice, Scott. I think we, played first team, second team a lot, and those we've been slid Tommy in there, and those guys have spent a good amount of time together, and so there's a nice connection, nice rhythm, and not that he doesn't have it with other guys, but it's those two seem to have a pretty good little connection.
I believe you guys were 19 for 22 from the free throw line tonight. How many free throws did you ever shoot the last 5 days?
You know what? I went just the other way. I left it alone. Sometimes it can become another mental thing that, I made my point after the Alabama game. It's why we lost that game. Was I didn't feel like Alabama beat us. They won. But I thought that if we make free throws, we win that game. And made enough of an issue about it. And so, these guys have a tremendous amount of want to and care. So they shot him, but we literally didn't spend a ton of time on him. We shot a few at the end of practice and did a little conditioning with it, but nothing over the top.
It's like UTRGV played very physical tonight. What did you think about your team's response to some of that?
Yeah, I thought they outplayed us in that area. And that hadn't happened all year. My hat's off. They're well coached. That team, their coach is terrific, and I watched enough film to know in Baylor, Boise, Missouri State games. I mean, this team's going to compete, and he's got them competing at a really high level.
When Halo was on the bench, you see he had the whatever therapy device on his leg. Is that just precautionary, just keep the hamstring warm, or how does he feel?
I would think so. I don't know. I haven't asked. I don't really care. I just want to make sure he's good. But he's hasn't had any complaints or any issues with it. I know it's still maintenance every day after practice to keep it, I guess, progressing. And so, I know when you're in and out, you want to keep it loose.
You talked about working through the communication with him. What's that been like for you guys, and how much do your players help you there?
A lot. And I think the one thing we've got to do is, it's where Andre is the same way, just and Andre's fine with the language. It's just the mispractice, and that's where you communicate so many things in practice when you've got, when things are live and they're moving fast and there's a lot going on. And, his instincts about the game, Milo's, are terrific. But sometimes it's I got to get him over to me more during the game when there's a dead ball and make sure that we're communicating and we huddle a good amount and that's something that's a little different for him as well. They don't over there like that. So getting guys in the huddle, there was a timeout, our team was screaming at him to get in the huddle. Those are little things that can and will help him.
Maybe getting ahead of myself a little bit, but 5 straight games, I think now, opponents that are in the top 40, Ken Palm, schedule gets a lot tougher. How do you feel about the team heading into this stretch?
Yeah, I think that's why we've done this. We've seen Florida, we've seen Tech, we've seen Alabama, all of them very, very different to get ready for this stretch. And then we've had an opportunity to kind of try to stack some positives with developing a bench and a rotation and getting guys going. And I think we've done that with Dre. I think Tommy's gotten himself back into a place where he's functioning at a conditioning level. I think that's good. But we're going to find out. I think it's quality opponents, and I think we've shown that even though we came out on the wrong side of the Bama one, they're very, very good, and obviously beat a good Tech team, and who was playing great at the time. So I just think we're ready to find out. We're ready to see.
Thank you.